Hello everyone, my name is drgdsharma and you are watching English, and in this video we are going to talk about the known dramatic poems of William Shakespeare. As we know that besides writing many plays, he also wrote some long narrative or narrative poems. So here in this video we are going to throw some light on the important facts and points related to these poems. So let's start the video. If we talk about Shakespeare as a poet, so the very first poem that comes to our mind is Venus and Adonis. That was his first venture as a poet and it was published in 1593. It is a narrative poem and it published the same year when Marlowe's Hero and Leander was published. Christopher Marlowe. We can say that it was composed in the tradition set by Christopher Marlowe. Hero and Leander was also published in the same year 1593 and it was also long narrative poem. The source of this poem is a short episode in Ovid's Metamorphoses. Ovid was a Latin poet. The poem was dedicated to Henry Wriothesley, whom Shakespeare says in the dedication as the first heir of my invention. It was important poem and it was published in 10 editions between 1594 and 1602. So in these years it was published in 10 different editions. On the one hand, it is supposed to be an immature poem of Shakespeare, but at the same time it had the impact of Shakespeare's genius. And this is exemplified by its getting published in 10 different editions. Meanwhile, I want to share something you with guys. Unacademy is starting daily top 10 test series for paper 1 NTA UGC NET. This set of questions will test your skills for the concepts unit wise. So you can attend these tests live daily. The analysis for the paper 1 test will be done by the top educators in free classes, which will further help learners like you to understand their area of improvement. So it is high time for you to take the first step towards your NTA UGC NET. The test series is starting from 4th of November, Monday to Saturday, and you will be getting same day analysis class as well. So don't waste your time, enroll yourself by the link that is given in the description box below. Moreover, Unacademy is also starting live classes for exam analysis session for NTA UGC NET for November 2020 exam. It is free for all the learners. The educators will be solving and analyzing question papers and will give you the comprehensive solutions. So attend these classes live and get an inch closer to your dream. Here you can have the classes for computer science, education, Hindi and geography on 12th and 13th of November. So don't let the chance slip away. Enroll now with the link that is given in the description box below. The poem was printed or published by Richard Field. And it was published in quarto form or quarto pamphlet. Shakespeare's some of the dramas and early version of sonnets were also published in quarto forms. Quarto form was a printer's sheet that was folded twice. About quarto I had already told in my earlier video. You can refer to that. So Venus and Adonis was also published in quarto form or quarto pamphlet and it was published by Richard Field. It is comprised of 199 stanzas, or you can say it was comprised of 1194 lines. So it was written in 6-line stanza. And 6-line stanza is also known as sesta rima or sestina. The rhyming scheme of this stanza form is AB, AB, CC. So it is a quatrain followed by a couplet. Quatrain followed by a couplet. This is a quatrain and this is a couplet. So it makes one stanza of 6 lines. This is also known as sesta rima, sestina or 6-line stanza. So 199 six-line stanzas were there in this poem. As far as its genre is concerned, so it can come in the long narrative love poem. If the question is asked in which genre or in which poetic genre Venus and Adonis falls, so you can simply say that it is long narrative love poem. And this was a very famous stanza form that was used by Edmund Spenser in Astrophel and Thomas Lodge in Scylla's Metamorphosis. So Venus is in love with Adonis. Adonis was in a boar hunt. She could not win his love and she could not dissuade him from going on a boar hunt. She had premonitions that something evil can befall him if he goes on boar hunt. But Adonis did not pay attention to her words, or he did not concede her love. He did not return her love. He went for the boar hunt, and when Venus got to know about him on the next day, Adonis was found dead. So her love remained unfulfilled and it ended in tragedy as well. So the storyline is very simple. The next important poem of Shakespeare was The Rape of Lucrece. Lucrece was the legendary Roman noblewoman and she was raped by Sextus Tarquinius. This Roman noblewoman was an epitome of bravery, chastity, but however, she was raped by Sextus Tarquinius, and this is the theme of this poem as well. The Roman name of Lucrece is also Lucretia. The original name is Lucretia, which Shakespeare altered somewhat. The poem was published in 1594 and printed by Richard Field. Printed or published by Richard Field. The poem was also dedicated to Henry Wriothesley by Shakespeare himself, the third Earl of Southampton. Venus and Adonis was also dedicated to Henry Wriothesley. The sonnets of Shakespeare are supposed to have been dedicated to Henry Wriothesley as well. So Henry Wriothesley was the patron of Shakespeare. As such, Shakespeare dedicated his work to him. The dedication goes like this: The love I dedicate to your lordship is without. So this is the starting of the dedication which he gave to Henry Wriothesley. The poem is followed by the argument. It is a kind of prose work that details the historical context of the poem. A prose work or prose article which details the historical context of the poem. So this argument is very much important. The title of the work or the article was The Argument that was followed by this poem. As far as its source is concerned, so the story draws on a story in Ovid's Fasti. So on the basis of one of the stories, the Rape of the Lucrece was based. Other source is also there and it was Livy's History of Rome. So the story of the Rape of the Lucrece draws on the story in Ovid's Fasti or on Livy's History of Rome. The poem is written in 7-line stanza. 7-line stanza is also known as Rhyme Royal. Rhyme Royal was first introduced by Chaucer, Geoffrey Chaucer, in his Complaint unto Pity. So, in his work Complaint unto Pity, he first used this 7-line stanza form. At that time, it was known as Chaucerian stanza, and later on, it was known as Rhyme Royal because it was used by James I of Scotland in his King's Square in 1423. So it was used for royal purpose by a royal person in some poem. So in order to honor its use by a monarch, it was known as rhyme royal. So royal was because of its being used by James I, who was a royal personage. Chaucer also used this rhyme royal in many of his other works like Troilus and Cressida, The Parliament of Fowls, or in some of the stories of Canterbury Tales. The rhyming scheme of Rhyme Royal is AB, AB, BCC. So there are 265 rhyme royal stanzas in this poem, or we can say there are 1853 lines. So this was also long narrative poem. The poem is also referred to as graver labor. Actually, in the dedication of Venus and Adonis, Shakespeare wrote that he would write something of graver labor. So he fulfills his promise that he made in the dedication to the Venus and Adonis. So graver labor means a poem of seriousness. So Rape of the Lucrece is a poem of seriousness. The theme is serious and somber, and as he promised to this Henry Wriothesley, he fulfilled his promise in the Rape of the Lucrece. Next important poem is The Phoenix and the Turtle. It is also said that Phoenix and the Turtle is the greatest non-dramatic poem of Shakespeare. It is an allegorical elegy, and it laments on the death of Phoenix and the turtle dove. On the death of Phoenix. Phoenix is a bird. It is a mythical bird which is supposed to get its birth from its own ashes when it gets burnt, and the cycle is repeated once in 500 years. So it is a lament on the death of Phoenix and the turtle dove, and these two are allegorical figure, and they are models of ideal chaste wedded love. Their death is mourned by other birds. So it follows the conventions of elegy. As you see that in elegy, the person concerned is mourned by the other characters. So here the characters are the phoenix and the turtle, these birds. So they are mourned by the birds themselves. As they are allegorical figure, so they seem to represent John Salisbury and his wife. The actual character of this representation are supposed to be John Salisbury and his wife. He was a Welsh courtier. So in an allegorical manner, Shakespeare seemed to have mourned on the death of John Salisbury and his wife by representing the character Phoenix and the Turtle. The poem was published in 1601 in the collection Love's Martyr. In this collection, many poets like Ben Jonson, George Chapman, John Marston, and Robert Chester. These writers, along with Shakespeare, they contributed to this anthology Love's Martyr. And Love's Martyr was the name of the poem, the title of the poem by Robert Chester as well. So the poem Love's Martyr was given the title of the anthology itself. So in this collection, The Phoenix and the Turtle by Shakespeare was also published. Next important poem is A Lover's Complaint. Actually, this poem was appended in the collection Shakespeare's Sonnets that were published in 1609 by Thomas Thorpe. So, in this collection, where the sonnets of Shakespeare were published by Thomas Thorpe, this poem was published as an appendix, additional poem. About the sonnet, you can refer to my previous video, Shakespeare's Sonnet. The poem A Lover's Complaint was comprised of 47 7-line stanza. 7-line stanzas, as we have said that this is also known as rhyme royal. So this poem was comprised of 47 rhyme royal stanzas. It is also a narrative poem, and it is an example of female voiced complaint. Example of female voiced complaint. Actually, this was the tradition, Tudor tradition or the Elizabethan tradition to compose love poems. Basically, a lover or a beloved was woe begone crossed in love, deceived in love, defeated in love, disappointed in love, and then the lover or the beloved seemed to complain, and then the poem narrates his or her complaint. So, following the tradition, Shakespeare also wrote this complaint. Whatever Shakespeare wrote was for the taste of Elizabethan audience. So we can cite other examples of the complaint poetry. So in this tradition, there is the Samuel Daniel Complaint of Rosamond, Thomas Law's Complaint of Elstrade, and Michael Drayton Matilda the Fair. So Matilda the Fair, Complaint of Elstrade, Complaint of Rosamond, or a lover's complaint, they follow the same tradition of female voiced complaint. And the lover, basically lover is a male person, but in this poem lover is a female who was seduced and abandoned by the lover, and as such she felt quite disappointed and dejected. In the poem she is seen first sitting and weeping quite beside a river, complaining about the faith that was broken, the trust that was deceived, the love that was unrequited. So the poem is all about this complaint. So Shakespeare followed the Tudor tradition or the Elizabethan tradition of writing complaint poetry. So this is short narrative complaint poetry. Lastly, there comes the Passionate Pilgrims. That is an unauthorized anthology that was published in 1599 by William Jaggard. It is comprised of 20 poems, and this anthology is attributed to W. Shakespeare, means William Shakespeare. On the title page of this anthology, it is clearly mentioned, as you can see in the picture, it is attributed to W. Shakespeare. However, there are only 5 poems of Shakespeare in the anthology. 15 other poems are of different writers, possibly of unknown writers. In the edition of 1612, William Jaggard he said that the other poems are of Thomas Heywood. The anonymous poems of the collection of 1599 were supposed to have been composed by Thomas Heywood. Some of them were composed by Thomas Heywood. That was claimed in the edition of 1612, the second edition of this Passionate Pilgrims. As far as this anthology is concerned, so it is comprised of 20 poems, as we have said, out of which 5 poems, and 5 poems were 2 sonnets, sonnet number 138 and sonnet number 144. These 2 sonnets and 3 extracts from Love's Labours Lost. So these 2 sonnets had already been published in this collection, The Passionate Pilgrims. Later on in 1609, they were republished. The title of these 2 sonnets, first sonnet number 138. So that was When My Love Swears That She Is Made of Truth. So that is the title of sonnet number 138. Second poem, sonnet number 144. The title of this poem is Two Loves I Have of Comfort and Despair. As you know that the title of his sonnets are the opening lines themselves. He has not given any other separate title to his sonnets. The sonnets are either known as sonnet number 1 to 3 or in Roman number CXXIV. So the sonnets are known either in Roman number or in English number, or they are known by their opening lines. Other three poems are the extract from Love's Labours Lost. So the third poem is Did Not the Heavenly Rhetoric of Thine Eyes. This is the title of the third poem that was included in this Passionate Pilgrims. And it was a version of the character Longwill's sonnet to Maria, the other character of this play, Maria, in Love's Labours Lost. These lines occurred in Act 4, Scene 3rd, line number 58 to 71. So this extract was also published in the Passionate Pilgrims in the form of third poem of Shakespeare. The fourth poem of Shakespeare was If Love Made Me Forsworn, How Shall I Swear to Loves? This is the title, this is the extract. So it is a version of the character Berowne's sonnet to Rosalind in Love's Labours Lost in Act 4, Scene 2, line number 105 to 18. The fifth poem that was included in the anthology was On a Day, Alack a Day. Alack the Day means alas the day. It is Dumain's poem, the character Dumain's to Catherine in Love's Labours Lost. In Act 4, Scene 3rd, line number 99 to 118. So the extract of these 5 places have been published in poems form in the Passionate Pilgrims. So that is all for now. Hopefully this video has added something to your existing knowledge of Shakespeare's non-dramatic poems or Shakespeare as a poet. This video will be quite helpful for clearing your examinations like TGT, PGT and other competitive examinations where English literature is asked. So keep learning, stay motivated, like this video, share it among your friends who are also preparing for various examinations like UPPGT and TGT and other competitive examinations. And please subscribe to this channel so that you may keep receiving all such kind of videos in future at the earliest. Thanks for watching.